At the beginning of the story, we are taken to ancient China. We are taken to the Black Death sect. We see a man wearing a black robe and a black hat standing at the entrance of the sect. As he looked at the sect's sign, lightning struck in the sky and rain began to fall. The sect's martial artists appeared at the entrance to face the mysterious man. One of them screamed that the nameless swordsman has arrived. His comrades were excited to hear this. They quickly charged at the nameless swordsman with their weapons. They were all ready to cut him down. Before their weapons could reach him, the man drew his sword. With a single swing of his sword, he cut down several enemies. The men couldn't even block his attack. The man carefully raised his head to see the amount of people he had to face. The martial artists surrounded him from all sides. They said that they will kill the nameless swordsman. Immediately they said this. The man moved and cut off the heads of the people close to him. He moved close to the martial artists and began to tear them apart. While he was cutting through them, a bald man charged at him from behind with a spear in his hand. He smiled and told the nameless swordsman that he got him. Before he could attack the nameless swordsman, something appeared behind him and cut off his head. The man couldn't understand what was happening. He didn't know how the nameless swordsman was able to attack him from behind. The nameless swordsman wasn't even fazed by the man's sneak attack. After a while, we see the bodies of the Black Death sect members on the ground. The man had taken care of all of them. Inside the sect, an old man wearing a white snake robe calmly waited for the nameless swordsman. The man didn't seem to be very bothered about what had happened at the entrance. While he was looking at the ground, lightning struck again in the sky and the nameless swordsman appeared in front of him. The man raised his head to see him. He asked him if he is the nameless swordsman. The nameless swordsman didn't say anything to him. The sect leader asked the man to tell him why he is wrapped up so tightly if he is a swordsman of justice. The man said that he is not a swordsman of justice. The sect leader asked him if he is serious. He asked the nameless swordsman to tell him why he hunts and kills the Orthodox faction if he is not a swordsman of justice. With a terrifying look in his eyes, the nameless swordsman said that he is not a righteous swordsman. The old man was surprised to see the look in his eyes. He began to laugh. He realized that the nameless swordsman deceived all of them. The nameless swordsman smiled and said that he didn't deceive anyone. He told the man that people simply believe what they want to believe. The sect leader carefully released his energy and reached for his sword. He told the nameless swordsman that he is a very interesting man. He drew his sword and said that he will not have any regrets even if he crosses the river of the dead today. With a horrifying look in his eyes, the man took a stance and asked the nameless swordsman to come at him. He told him that his name doesn't matter since he is just there to kill him. The sect leader's energy covered him like a snake. The nameless swordsman drew his sword and released a red energy. He and the man carefully looked at each other. Everything around them became silent. The moment a drop of water touched the ground, the nameless swordsman and the sect leader charged at each other. Later in the day, we see someone walking out of the sect with his sword covered in blood. The person turned out to be the nameless swordsman. The man smiled like a psychopath as he put his sword away. In the next scene, we see a petal gently fall into a pool of blood. There were several dead bodies on the ground. A large amount of men ignored the bodies and walked up a mountain. There were hundreds of men from different sects. The leaders of each sect stood at the front of a sect's entrance. They were all shocked to see the amount of bodies on the ground. The Buddhist among them asked the others if this is truly the Manhwa sect that he knows. He prayed for the bodies. An angry man next to him raised his voice and said that this is the work of a demon. He asked the other leaders to tell him who would drench the Manhwa in blood. An older man next to him told him that someone is coming. The man raised his head and saw an injured man walking forward. The wounded man with a broken sword said that the Manhwa has been wiped out. The angry man was shocked to see a plum blossom swordsman. He couldn't believe that he was still alive. The plum blossom swordsman said that the Manhwa was wiped out by one man. Immediately he said this. Someone released a powerful attack inside the sect. The leaders of each sect were shocked to see the attack. They quickly put themselves together and tried to block the attack. The attack caused a huge explosion. A large amount of dust filled the air. When the dust cleared up, the leaders saw that the plum blossom swordsman was cut down. The angry man raised his voice and called the attacker a bastard. He asked him to show himself. The attacker walked out of the Manhwa sect with a head in his hand. He realized that the Shaolin, the Wudong, the Qingsheng, and the Namgung had come to stop him. He raised his sword and told them that they have gathered quite a crowd. The leader of the Wudong sect asked him to shut up. He asked the man for his identity and for the reason he committed such a massacre. The nameless swordsman scratched his hair and said that he came there because people said that the Mount Hua is the strongest. He threw the head of an old man to the ground and said that rumors cannot be trusted. The sect leaders were shocked to see the head. They could tell that this was the head of the Mount Hua sect leader. The nameless swordsman pointed his sword at them and asked them if they are stronger than the Mount Hua since they came in a pack. The Wudong sect leader was annoyed to hear this. He asked the man to shut up. He and the other leaders took a stance and got ready to attack. The Wudong sect leader told the nameless swordsman that they will kill him and bring peace to the souls of the Mount Hua. The moment he said this, he charged at the nameless swordsman with the other 3 leaders. The man smiled when he saw this. He said that this place is really fun. The scene shifts and we see a man wearing a VR headset in reality. The muscular man took off the headset and let out a sigh. He wondered if the combined attack of so many people was still too much for him. He carefully looked at the headset and a game on the table. The game is called Murim Online. This was the game the man was playing. Murim Online is a recently developed virtual reality Murim game. It is known for its gratuitous gore and extreme violence. Although the game has been flooded with complaints that demand that the service be shut down, this man still believed that there was no other game like it. He told himself that he needs to face the challenge with a more discreet approach next time. Immediately he said this. A reporter on the news announced that Mr. No of Dido Corporation is missing. The man didn't seem to be very interested in this. He wondered if he should try assassination next time. While he was thinking, someone called out for help. The man quickly turned his head around. He realized that someone was actually in his other room. He got up and grabbed a sledgehammer. He entered the room and saw a man tied up. The man turned out to be the missing Mr. No. No begged the man to help him. The man went down and moved close to him. He grabbed No's face and asked him if he really wants him to help him. With tears in his eyes, No told him that he doesn't know why he kidnapped him. He said that he didn't do anything. The moment he said this, the man threw some pictures to the ground. They were pictures of No beating and harassing women. No was shocked to see the pictures. He asked the man to tell him how he was able to get them. The man carefully moved his hammer and told No that he wouldn't have become his prey if he really did nothing wrong. No told him that he will repent. He begged the man to spare him. The man grabbed his hair and told him that the phrase "spare me" is getting a bit too old. He raised his hammer when he said this. No realized that he was going to die. He gathered his strength and used his body to push the man back and knock the hammer out of his hand. He used his strength to tear his rope apart. He called the man a stupid bastard and grabbed the hammer. He told him that he is dead meat. The man didn't seem shocked with what happened. He actually smiled. No charged at him and asked him to die. He swung the hammer at the man. The man dodged it and moved to the side. He clenched his fist and gave No a powerful punch in his stomach. No coughed out heavily. Before he could react, the man gave him a kick in his head. The attack pushed him to the ground. No realized that he couldn't win. He began to crawl towards a door. He asked the man to stay away from him. He said that he doesn't want to die. No was able to crawl to the door. When he reached the door, he noticed that a foul smell was coming from inside. When he looked inside, he saw a freezer filled with several human bodies that were wrapped up like mummies. No was horrified to see the bodies. For the man, most humans are herbivores. Among them, there are a small number of carnivores who attack, hunt, and devour those weaker than them. The man is the one who hunts the carnivores. He is a hunter. While No was frozen in shock, he noticed that the man was coming close to him. He begged him to stay away from him. He referred to him as a bastard and asked him to not come closer. The moment he said this, someone destroyed the door. Several police officers ran into the room and asked the man to freeze. A detective stepped forward and referred to the man as Dong Bongsu. He showed Bongsu his badge and told him that he is under arrest on the suspicion of kidnapping, false imprisonment, and murder. Bongsu asked the detective to tell him how the police found this place. The man fired his gun and asked him not to move. He told him that the gun has live rounds. Bongsu noticed that the man's bullet created a hole in his wall. He knew that the detective wasn't bluffing. He calmly looked at the police officers. He realized that this situation is similar to what he faced in the game. He gently smiled. He asked the detective if he is aware that the fat bastard has killed a total of 6 women. He said that No tortured the women and even took pictures while playing with them. He then killed them. The detective didn't say anything. No began to panic when he heard what Bongsu said. Bongsu pointed at the corpses in the freezer and told the detective that they are all cut from the same cloth as No. He said that most of them are murderers. With a scary look in his eyes, he said that these men are animals. They are carnivores who hunt ordinary people. Bongsu told the police that he is simply a hunter who preys on them. He asked the detective if he now understands that the person he should be shooting is No. No began to cry when he heard this. The detective lit up his cigarette and asked Bongsu to tell him what he should do. He said that all he can see is a psychopathic murderer who kidnaps and kills people. Bongsu wasn't surprised to hear this. He knew that talking to a cop wouldn't do anything. He decided to do what he wanted. He raised his hammer. The detective asked him to stop. Bongsu ignored him and swung his hammer at the man's head. He destroyed his head with a single swing. The detective fired his gun at him when he saw this. Bongsu said that if he gets another chance at life, he hopes to be born in a place filled with beasts so that he can kill to his satisfaction. He wanted a place like the Murim. The moment he thought of this, the bullet pierced through his body. As he slowly lost consciousness, Bongsu thought about how he played Murim online. The scene shifts and we see Bongsu open his eyes. He was struggling to catch his breath. He didn't understand how he was alive. He was certain that he died. Before he could think of anything, a man wearing a robe asked him if he is alive. He told him that he thought he was dead. Bongsu was shocked to see the man. The man called him a bastard and grabbed his robe. He asked him if he knows how annoying it was to drag his sorry ass there from the marketplace. The man clenched his fist and wondered if he should actually kill him. Bongsu still didn't understand what was going on. The man threw him to the ground and told him that he will see him tomorrow. He told him that he will die tomorrow. Bongsu was annoyed to hear this. He grabbed a rock from the ground and got up to attack the man from behind. Before he could move, he felt a large amount of pain in his body. He fell on some horse hay. Bongsu was shocked to see the hay. He quickly grabbed his robe and took it off. He realized that this body is not his own. He was surprised to see the kind of wounds that were on the body. He noticed that the moonlight was entering his room from his door. When he looked outside, he saw several ancient buildings. Bongsu instantly knew where he was. He knew that this was the Murim. He grabbed his hair and bowed his head. He began to laugh like a lunatic. He was quite excited. He couldn't believe that his wish came true. A system referred to him as Player Dong Bongsu and welcomed him to Murim Online. It welcomed him to the world where the strongest resides. Bongsu laughed out loud when he heard this. He was now granted another opportunity to hunt the carnivores. In the next scene, we are taken to the past. We see someone sweeping the ground. He was cleaning the horse stable. While he was doing this, someone barged into the stable and called out to the boy named Sosum. Sosum turned to the man known as Machiel. Machiel covered his nose because of the horse smell and asked Sosum to follow him right now. He told him that he has something for him to do. Sosum nervously told the man that he is not done cleaning the stables. Machiel stretched out his hand and grabbed Sosum's mouth. He raised the boy up. He asked him if he looks as if he is giving him an option. He asked him if he has forgotten his place just because the Danri clan is housing and feeding a stuttering orphan like him. He told Sosum that he is just a slave. In the next scene, we see a huge man guide Sosum to a place filled with swords. A man next to the swords referred to the man as Dong-o and asked him about where Machiel is. Dong-o smiled and asked the old man if he doesn't already know how things are. He said that Machiel is at the Phoenix Tavern with Eng again. He snapped his fingers and said that Machiel is having a drink again. The man said that it doesn't matter. He asked Dong-o to tell him why only the two of them came. He looked at the swords and said that it will be tough for two people to move them. Dong-o laughed when he heard this. He asked the man if he can't see. He grabbed Sosum's neck and said that they have a perfectly good horse. He threw the boy to the ground. While the boy was trying to catch his breath, the man asked him about what he is doing. He asked him to get up and start moving the weapons. He turned around and said that he also has plans at the Phoenix Tavern today. He said that their dear little brother Sosum will have to do all the heavy lifting today. He told Sosum that he will be going now. He asked him to work hard. The old man was shocked to see what Dong-o did. Unfortunately, he didn't say anything. Sosum gathered some swords in a bag and carried them on his back. As he walked forward, the weapons slowly tore the bag apart. They poured out of the bag. Sosum had to stop and gather them back into the bag. He began to drag the bag to his destination. Later in the evening, Sosum was done carrying the swords. The old man asked him if he doesn't want to rest. He told him that he looks as pale as someone on the verge of death. Although he looked like his life was completely drained out of him, Sosum told the man that he is fine. He could barely walk well. He wondered if he wanted to continue living this pathetic insect-like life. The moment he thought of this, he noticed that someone was in front of him. When he raised his head up, he saw a huge man. The man asked him if he isn't going to screw off. Sosum apologized to him. Instead of accepting his apology, the man gave him a punch in his face. He gave him a kick in the chest and another painful punch. As he received the attacks, Sosum wondered about when his life went wrong. He wondered if it was when his family died in a typhoon and he was the only one who survived, or if it was when he knocked on the Danri family's gate in order to survive. He fell to the ground and wondered if his life went wrong from the moment he was born into a world like this. He begged anyone to save him. The scene shifts and we are taken to the present. We see Bongsu open his eyes in Sosum's body. He carefully moved his injured body and pushed himself up. He looked into some water and wondered if the name of the owner of the body is Sosum. He looked around the stable. He realized that this was the stable from the boy's memories. This means that the real Sosum was actually beaten to death, and he managed to enter his body. While he was thinking, Bongsu noticed something next to him. When he turned to the side, he saw a status window. The system welcomed him to Murim Online, the world where the strongest resides. Bongsu was certain that this was the status window from Murim Online. In the next scene, we see Machiel carrying a bowl of food. He wondered about why he always has to do this. He asked himself if he is the only one in the clan who can clean up Sosum's mess. He said that Bongsu should have just gone straight to the stables after he was done with the work. He couldn't believe that Bongsu ran into Peng Dorang, a man who is famous for his rotten temper. He recalled that he even asked Dong-O to help Bongsu. Machiel hated the situation. He couldn't believe that he had to wipe the ass of a pathetic little worm. He wondered if he should just kill Bongsu for real. He quickly abandoned this thought. He knew that it was too risky for him. If he got caught, his neck would be the first on the chopping block. He barged into the stable and threw Bongsu's food to the ground. Machiel was so annoyed that Bongsu survived and was now causing him so much trouble. He turned around after complaining. Bongsu carefully opened his eyes and watched the man walk away. He realized that it has already been 2 weeks since he woke up in this world. In this time, he was able to gather some information from Machiel and the outside world. The first is that the people in the world use Chinese characters even though this isn't China. This is because of martial arts. Fantastical techniques that only exist in novels and movies are real there. People fly through the air and move faster than the eye can follow. In this world, martial arts are alive and breathing. It is like a real-life version of Murim Online. The second thing Bongsu has learned about is the status window and system. He was certain that this Murim Online status window is functional, and he was the only one who could see it. All Bongsu's stats were unknown. At first, he thought that he was inside a game because of the status window and the existence of martial arts. Bongsu clenched his fist. He was certain that this world was real. The people here all have their own emotions, and they move as if they are alive. This made Bongsu question whether he was a human or a player. While he was looking at his status window, someone entered the stable. Bongsu sent the window away. The person that entered the room turned out to be Dong-O. The man asked Bongsu if he is living a good life. With a horrifying look on his face, he told our boy that some of them got scolded and even punished because of a certain idiot. He called Bongsu a bastard and asked him if he has been waiting for this. Our boy didn't say anything to him. He got up and picked up the bowl. He ate the food inside. Dong-O was annoyed to see this. He raised his hand and told him that his older one is speaking. He asked him if he wants to die. Bongsu wasn't moved by this. He broke the bowl on the ground and used a piece of it to attack the man. He landed a cut on Dong-O's neck. A large amount of blood gushed out of his neck. The man quickly used his hand to stop himself from bleeding. Bongsu moved close to Dong-O and told him that the kid he knew died long ago. He swung his hand at the other side of his neck. Dong-O quickly grabbed his wrist. Bongsu opened his hand to show the man that it was empty. Dong-O was shocked to see this. Bongsu used his other hand to take out the shard and stabbed Dong-O in the same spot. He smiled like a lunatic as he stabbed the man. He stabbed him several times. Each time he took out the shard, he would drag out a large amount of blood from the man's body. Blood gushed out of Dong-O's neck when he fell to the ground. His blood filled the air. It touched Bongsu's face and body. Our boy noticed that the man's blood was hot. He realized that it didn't matter if he was a human or a player. The important thing is that this place was reality. The great law of this world was something he felt from Dong-o and Ma-chil. The weak are prey to the strong, and the strong are revered. Bong-su realized that he can hunt to his satisfaction without having to hide his true nature in a place like this. He knew that people who are stronger and even more monstrous carnivores than him will definitely be roaming freely in the jungle they call the Murim. Bong-su looked at his arm and smiled. He told himself that he will continue his hunt as soon as his body recovers. He stretched out his hand and said that in this land of true predators, his new hunt will begin. Later in the night, we see Bong-su looking at Dong-o's body. He thought about how he would normally not even consider hunting a guy like this. However, there was one thing he wanted to confirm. He called out to his inventory. A huge tablet-like portal appeared in front of him. Something about this inventory felt different to Bong-su. He recalled that the inventory in Murim Online was a slot-based system with one item per slot. However, the inventory in front of him was one large open space. Bong-su put his hand into the inventory. He felt a massive space. He guessed that it was a couple hundred square meters. Bong-su took out his hand and turned to the body. He decided to try something. He placed his hand above the body and asked the system to store it in the inventory. The system dragged Dong-o's body into the space and even dragged his blood from the ground. Bong-su was shocked to see this. He couldn't believe that the huge body disappeared in an instant. He realized that the inventory was an incredibly useful ability. He was certain that he could make use of it. He wondered if living things can go inside the inventory too. He wondered if they will still be alive inside or dead. Bong-su smiled when he thought of this. He decided to experiment a bit more. In the morning, we see Bong-su sweeping the ground. While he was sweeping the ground, he watched two men talk. He was quite focused on them. While he was looking at them, someone slapped his head from behind. The person turned out to be Ma-chil. The man called him a half-wit and told him that he heard that he has become a mute. Bong-su laughed like an idiot. Ma-chil pushed him and asked him to stop slacking off. He pointed at a horse and asked him to take it for a walk. Bong-su bowed his head to him. Ma-chil was annoyed to see this. He wondered about what he was going to do with a guy who can't even speak properly. In the next scene, we see Bong-su walking in the streets with the horse. He looked around to see the people and the stores in the street. While he was looking around, some kids were spying on him. One of them threw a rock at him. The rock hit Bong-su in the head and made him bleed. The kids called him stupid and said that he can't even speak anymore. The moment they said this, they froze in shock. They were horrified to see the scary look on Bong-su's face. One of them cleaned his eyes to make sure that he wasn't seeing the wrong thing. Immediately he did this. He saw Bong-su smiling like an idiot. Our boy walked away from them. The kids began to laugh again and call him stuttering Sosum. They threw more rocks at him and said that he is a mute. They said that he can't do anything. Bong-su ignored them and walked forward. The scene shifts and we see Ma-chil complaining that someone like him shouldn't be stuck cleaning weapons. He recalled that he hasn't seen Dong-o in a few days. He wondered if the man was dead. When he arrived at the entrance of the armory, Bong-su opened the door. Ma-chil asked our boy about why he is coming out of there. He quickly saw something shocking. He saw that the weapons were cleaned and well arranged. He asked Bong-su if he did his own work too. Our boy smiled and nodded at him. The man realized that Bong-su has completely changed after his near-death experience. He was now working diligently and even doing things that he wasn't asked to do. Ma-chil wondered if Bong-su finally became a proper human. The moment he thought of this, our boy offered him a bag. When the man opened it, he saw some gold coins inside. He was surprised to see the cash. He laughed out loud and told Bong-su that he has finally learned how the world works. Our boy laughed with him. Ma-chil tapped his back and asked him to keep this up from now on. Bong-su watched him as he walked away. He called him a fool. He was certain that the man didn't know that the money was his fare to the afterlife. Later in the evening, we see Ma-chil throwing the money up. He said that a person needs to learn to be flexible instead of just bowing their head every day. Since his pockets were full today, Ma-chil decided to go see Vix and Chosian instead of Ing. He went to the Phoenix Tavern with his cash. A man outside welcomed him to the tavern. Ma-chil asked the man to get Chosian for him. The man told him that he will get his usual Ing. He quickly realized that Ma-chil asked for Chosian. Ma-chil smiled at him and told him that he is correct. The man didn't really believe him. Ma-chil could tell that the owner was doubting him. He showed him his money and asked him to look at it. The man smiled when he saw the cash. He thanked Ma-chil and asked him to wait in the room at the end of the second floor. He assured him that he will bring Chozian to him. Inside the room, we see Ma Chiel patiently waiting for Chozian. While he was looking around, someone told him that she will enter now. She opened the door and bowed her head to Ma Chiel. She introduced herself as Chozian. Ma Chiel was shocked to see how beautiful the woman was. Her skin was glowing. The man told himself that Eng can't even compare to her beauty. He put himself together and asked the woman to sit. Chozian knelt down in front of him and offered to fill his cup. Ma Chiel was very happy to hear this. He asked her to go ahead. He told her that her hands are so delicate. He gently pulled her closer to himself. While he was getting his freak on, a glowing red eye watched him from a small crack in the wall. Bongsu was the one watching him. The scene shifts, and we are taken back to the time when Ma Chiel entered the tavern. The owner of the tavern didn't really like the fact that Ma Chiel requested for a girl that was young enough to be his daughter. He looked at the money Ma Chiel gave him and smiled. He said that the money itself isn't a sin. While he was looking at the coin, he noticed that someone was at the entrance. He raised his head and greeted the person. He was surprised to see who it was. The person turned out to be Bongsu. The man walked up to him and asked him about what he is doing there. He asked him if he even knows where he is. He asked him to get lost. Before he could say anything else, Bongsu showed him a bag of cash. While stuttering, he requested for Eng. The man opened the bag and saw that it was filled with gold coins. He quickly smiled and asked Bongsu to wait in the second room from the end on the second floor. He told him that he will bring Eng to him. Bongsu calmly walked into the tavern with a cloth wrapped around his hands. The scene shifts, and we are taken back to the present. We see Bongsu carefully enter the room after taking out an entire log of wood. He entered the room after Ma Chiel was done with Chozian. Ma Chiel flexed his muscles and told himself that he still has a lot in him. Immediately he said this. Bongsu put a cloth around his neck and began to strangle him. Ma Chiel was shocked to feel a cloth around his neck. He quickly grabbed it. He wondered about which bastard was trying to kill him. He used his head to hit Bongsu's head. Blood gushed out of our boy's nose, but he did not let go of the man. Ma Chiel raised his leg up and pushed Bongsu to the ground. Even though our boy slammed his back on the ground, he didn't let go of the man. Ma Chiel realized that his plan wasn't working. He quickly began to use his arms to hit Bongsu. Unfortunately for him, this didn't break Bongsu at all. Our boy simply tightened his grip. The man struggled for air. Bongsu smiled brightly. He was enjoying his struggle. After a while, Ma Chiel gave up and lost consciousness. Bongsu began to breathe heavily. He was feeling exhilarated. He turned to the woman on the bed. He stood up and moved close to Chozian. He went down and carefully looked at her. He seemed to be examining her. He determined that the woman was an herbivore. She had neither the will nor the strength to protect herself. Bongsu stood up and walked past her. He moved close to the hole he created in the wall. When he was watching Ma Chiel earlier, he placed his hand on the wood and stored it in his inventory. Bongsu was happy that he practiced using the inventory earlier. He sat on Ma Chiel and told himself that the ability will be useful for future hunts. Immediately he thought of this. He turned to his status window. He noticed that the bar showing his level increased. Bongsu realized that he had gained experience points. He now understood that killing people in this world gives him experience points. He knew that he could level up if he had enough experience points. Leveling up will make him stronger, and being stronger will make it easier for him to hunt. If hunting becomes easier, Bongsu will be able to gain experience points even faster. He raised his hand and placed it on his face. He began to laugh like a madman when he realized that he could become infinitely stronger in this world. He told himself that this is a wonderful world. While he was thinking about how amazing the world was, he turned to Ma Chiel and put his fingers together to get a good look at him. He felt bad that he didn't have a camera. In the next scene, we see the owner waiting outside a room. A young woman ran to him and asked him if the guest is still inside. The man asked the woman whose name is Eng about what took her so long. He asked her to hurry and get inside. He told her that the person may be mute, but he is still a customer who paid. Eng quickly went inside and apologized to Bongsu for being late. After she went in, the owner frowned his face. He wondered if a certain customer was trying to make a baby. He went to Ma Chiel's door and knocked on it. He told him that a lot of time has passed. He told Chozian that she needs to come out too. He told the woman that she needs to rest. No one answered the man. This made him angrier. He believed that they were ignoring him. He was ready to yell at them. Before he could say anything, Chozian screamed. The man was shocked to hear her voice. He quickly ran into the room and asked her about what happened. When he went inside, he saw Chosian looking at something above her. When he looked up, the man fell to the ground. He saw Machiel's body hanging by a rope. It looked as if the man had hung himself. In the north of Anhui, the Huai River flows. In the center, the Yangtze River flows and forms an expansive plain. This land has been known since ancient times for its rich, fertile lands and the intersections it has with many lakes and rivers, which allows commerce and trade to flourish. Of course, where money gathers, thieves and thugs are bound to follow. As hordes of bandits and villains from the unorthodox factions ran rampant, many rose up to fight them. Many clans and sects dedicated to upholding the code of the Murim were established in Anhui. Among them, the most prominent clans are the Namgung clan, which is one of the 5 great clans of the Central Plains and the greatest sect in Anhui, and the Danri clan. Although the Danri clan can't be compared to the Namgung clan, it has the Cross Heaven Sword Division, which is the family's specialized fighting force. It also has an intelligence and law enforcing group, which is known as the Black Crow Squad. The Danri clan's reputation became well known in Anhui thanks to these 2 groups. The Black Crow Squad's information gathering capabilities in particular are so formidable that even the beggar sect who would be offended being called second best when it comes to information are forced to concede. The Black Crow Squad is superior in Anhui. However, this very squad has been struggling with a new case. The scene shifts and we see a man bowing his head to the leader of the Black Crow Squad. This man's name is Gi Daehyo. Daehyo asked the man in front of him if it is another suicide. He said that it has now become a plague. Over the past few months, nearly 100 people have taken their lives. There has always been suicides, but it was 1 or 2 a month at most. It was never this much. Daehyo was certain that something was wrong. The strangest thing about the suicide cases was how perfect they were. The evidence and circumstances of every single case unequivocally points to suicide. Daehyo wondered if this was truly possible. He asked his subordinate to tell him the first person to die. The man revealed to him that it was an armory artisan from the clan named Machiel. Daehyo asked him if the man is from the Danri clan. The man said that he is. Daehyo asked him about where Machiel killed himself. The man told him that he did it at the Phoenix Tavern. Daehyo stood up and told his subordinate that they need to go there. The man was surprised to hear this. He told his squad leader that there is probably no need for him to go in person. Daehyo opened the door and said that he has to see it for himself. The scene shifts, and we are taken to the Phoenix Tavern. We see the owner guide Daehyo and his subordinate to Machiel's room. Daehyo asked the man if this is the room. The owner told him that this is the room where he found Machiel hanging from the rafters. Daehyo believed that this suicide plague is actually a string of murders. He wondered about how a killer managed to get in the room to kill Machiel. He entered the room and carefully looked around. He tapped the ground to confirm if there were no hidden spots. After looking through every nook and cranny, Daehyo concluded that there was no way for the culprit to enter without being seen. He realized that the remaining possibility is on the wall. He noticed the hole in the wall. He knew that the only way the culprit would enter safely is if the logs were removed. The problem is that the logs look like they have never been removed. He asked the owner if there is a way to take out the logs without removing the roof. The man said that it is impossible. He explained to Daehyo that the logs are set in grooves in the ceiling and floor beams. It is impossible to pull them out without taking out the beams first. Daehyo began to wonder if the death was really a suicide. He asked the owner if there was anyone in the room next door when Machiel died. The man revealed to him that there was another person in the room. He said that the guest arrived around the same time as Machiel. Daehyo asked him about who it was. The man said that it was Sosum of the Danri clan. In the next scene, we see Bongsu walking the horse in the street. He was looking at his status window while walking. His experience bar was almost full. He noticed that the experience points he gained from the man he killed nearby the other day was much greater than the ones he got from the other people he killed. He realized that the man must have been a martial artist. He understood that killing someone much stronger than himself would yield a greater amount of experience points. However, he knew that he would definitely lose if he fought a martial artist right now. Even the weakest warrior of the Danri clan was much stronger than him. Bongsu understood that he needed a prey that can bridge the gap between commoners and martial artists, someone similar to the man he killed the other day. Immediately, he thought of this. Someone called out to him and told him that it has been a while. He told him that he has gotten much more handsome. When Bongsu looked into the alley, he saw a bald man and some other men. They looked like thugs. The bald man told Bongsu that he needs to greet his elders when he sees them. One of his subordinates asked him if Bongsu is giving them the silent treatment. The bald man said that their little Sosum wouldn't do something like that. Bongsu realized that they were street thugs. Even though Sosum was a loser, he was still a member of the Danri clan. Bongsu couldn't believe that the boy lived his life getting pushed around by scum like this. The bald man grabbed Bongsu's hair and asked him if he is really ignoring them. He told him that they need to have a little private chat. He dragged Bongsu into the alley. Our boy dragged the horse with him. Bongsu wondered if he should just kill these thugs now and make it look like a suicide. He realized that he will be able to do this if he puts the body into his inventory and dumps them somewhere else. However, if he makes a scene here, there is a risk of him getting discovered. Bongsu knew that he wouldn't get a lot of experience points from killing these losers. He decided to just take the beating and get rid of them later. The bald man clenched his fist and told him that he has gotten plump. He asked him if he has been eating and living well. Before he could punch Bongsu, someone asked him to stop. He stepped forward and asked the bald man if he didn't ask him to bring Bongsu over nicely. The bald man was shocked to see the man known as Django. Bongsu carefully looked at the man. The man moved close to him and touched his horse. He said that it is a fine horse. He told Bongsu that their dark society leader is a man who goes absolutely crazy for horses. He said that he is thinking of presenting this horse to him as a gift. He asked Bongsu about what he thinks. He smiled and glared at him. Our boy could feel his killing intent. He realized that this was his goal from the start. The man planned to kill him and take the horse. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong person to prey on. Django moved close to Bongsu and told him that he seems to have a lot on his mind. He said that he doesn't ask for things twice. Our boy advised him to just kill him and take the horse. He asked the man not to bother asking him for the horse twice. The bald man was shocked to see that he could talk. Before Django could move, Bongsu moved his hand close to his chest and activated his inventory. A sword came out of the portal and stabbed the man in his chest. The man screamed out in pain. He asked Bongsu about how he was able to do this. Unfortunately for him, the sword pierced his heart. Immediately this happened, a large amount of energy gathered around Bongsu. Our boy released a blinding bright light from his body. The thugs had to use their hands to cover their eyes. The system informed our boy that he has been promoted to level 2. The moment this happened, the light stopped shining. The bald man carefully moved his hand aside to see what was happening. He saw something horrifying walking towards them. Bongsu looked like a demon that was releasing a unique aura. The man screamed and said that Bongsu is a demon. He asked his comrades to kill him. He told his comrades that they need to kill Bongsu now. The man knew that he was going to die if Bongsu reached them. Some minutes later, we see the bald man breathing heavily as he ran. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. He was running out of the alley. He seemed like he was trying to escape from someone. He screamed and asked someone to save him. Before he could step out of the alley, one of his legs got cut off. The man fell to the ground. He tried to raise his head and drag his body. He stretched out his hand and wondered if this is where his life will end. He began to cry. He thought about how Sosum was just a cripple. He told himself that Sosum was nothing more than a coin purse that spat out money when he was beaten up. As he thought about this, Bongsu caught up to him. The man felt our boy's presence. He told himself that he was just doing someone a favor and trying to make money as usual. He said that this is all he did. Before he could think of anything else, he turned to Bongsu. Our boy raised his leg and gave him a painful kick in the head. As Bongsu dragged his body away, the bald man told himself that it is unfair that he is going to be killed by some random demon like this. Later in the night, we see the bald man slowly open his eyes. He saw Bongsu doing something to his subordinates' bodies. The man fully opened his eyes and screamed. Our boy turned to him and asked him if he is finally awake. The man nervously called him a demon. He quickly closed his mouth when he saw Bongsu stand up. He was scared for his life. Our boy placed a blade next to his face. He asked him about what the man who he killed first does. The man asked him if he is referring to Django. Bongsu asked him about what Django said earlier. The man quickly told him that Django mentioned the Black Society. Bongsu asked him about what it is. The man explained to him that the Black Society is one of the unorthodox groups controlling the back alleys of Banyang. Django is one of their executives. Bongsu moved the dagger to the man's throat and reminded him that Django also mentioned something about the Black Society leader. The bald man began to cry. He told Bongsu that the leader is a man called Bang Poyam. He revealed to him that Poyam was the one who ordered Django to kill him and take the horse. Bongsu thought about the unorthodox groups and the Black Society. He realized that these groups have ranks and a boss. They were like an organized crime group. Bongsu told the bald man that he did good. He smiled and asked him to tell him everything he knows about the unorthodox groups and the Black Society. He assured him that he will let him live if the information is useful. The bald man smiled brightly and asked him if he is serious. He couldn't believe that he will be spared. Of course, he shouldn't have believed a psychopath like Bongsu. Our boy killed him immediately he got the information he wanted. He placed the man's body in his inventory. He looked around and wondered if he cleaned up well. After he was done cleaning up, he sat down and thought about the important things he discovered today. He thought about the unorthodox factions and how he was just looking for targets for leveling up that fall between martial artists and civilians. He didn't think that he would find his targets now. He decided to focus on hunting the people of the unorthodox faction. He looked at his hand and his skin. He noticed that all his scars have disappeared. After he leveled up, all his previous injuries got healed. It wasn't just the scars on his hands. Every wound on his body was gone. Bongsu wondered if a damage to the heart or his brain could be healed with a level up. Since a level up was imminent, Bongsu believed that it would be okay for him to take some risks. He thought about the light that filled the alleyway during his level up. He believed that the light was a definite downside of leveling up. Although it looked flashy, it is highly likely that the light will invite danger. Bongsu realized that he needed to find a way to hide the light. His method of killing targets with his inventory was also something that he needed to hide. Bongsu understood that he must not get caught by anyone. A hunter that is hiding among prey must appear ordinary. Only by looking similar to others and becoming indistinguishable can one become the best hunter. Bongsu told himself that leveling up must be done when the hunt ends or in a place where only prey exists. He got up and grabbed the horse's rope as he walked towards the street. He thought about how things could have been dangerous for him if Django had been more cautious or stronger. Bongsu realized that having the protective coloring of a mute was no longer enough. He needed to get stronger quickly without being noticed by anyone. He needed to improve by killing more people who were stronger. This was what Bongsu believed that he needed to do. The scene shifts and we see someone place his hand on Bongsu's shoulder. The person turned out to be Daehyo. With a serious look on his face, the man asked Bongsu if he killed Ma Chiel. He pushed his energy into Bongsu's body when he asked the question. The scene shifts and we are taken back to the past. We see a status window telling Bongsu that a critical error has occurred in Murim Online. It told him that there will be no issues proceeding with the game. After our boy reached level 2, this error window popped up. Bongsu deduced that the cause of the error is him. Someone like him shouldn't even exist in this world, and yet the game system is running alongside him. Bongsu deduced that it must be a problem stemming from this discrepancy. He smiled and wondered if the fact that he exists there in the first place isn't already a critical error. He realized that there was no point in thinking about this now. He tapped the window and removed it. His status window popped up. He saw that his stats, which were showing question marks, now had a gauge bar. Bongsu wondered if this was also related to the critical error. He believed that it might be because reality can't be quantified exactly like a game. He tapped on the skills button to see his skills. A long window appeared in front of him. The window displayed his skills. Bongsu's skills were slash, thrust, block, throw, and spirit eye. They were all passive level 1 skills. Our boy carefully read the descriptions of the skills. He recalled that these are all passive skills that appear when someone is creating a character in Murim Online. However, he didn't recognize one skill. This skill is Spirit Eye. Bongsu had never seen the skill before. He noticed that the skill had no separate explanation. Bongsu wondered about the kind of skill it was. Immediately he thought of this. The system informed him that he has met the Spirit Eye activation conditions. It told him that the Spirit Eye is automatically cast. It told him that an enemy with a level difference of 10 or more will approach him within 20 meters. Bongsu was shocked to see this. The system began to count down for him. Our boy quickly got up. He realized that this was like an early warning alarm for him. When the person was 14 meters away from him, Bongsu began to hear his footsteps. He carefully turned to the door. He clenched his fist. He quickly calmed himself and said that the person coming to him is probably not an enemy. There aren't many people that are bold enough to evade the Danri clan. If it was an enemy that was secretly infiltrating the clan, They wouldn't move this slowly. This means that the person approaching Bongsu must be a master within the clan. Although our boy didn't know how much a 10-level difference is yet, he believed that it must be a significantly larger difference because of how much effort and risk he took to reach level 2. He wondered about how many ordinary people he would need to kill if he only killed ordinary people till he reached level 10. Bongsu told himself that it might be thousands or tens of thousands. He understood that this one person would make up the difference for all those lives. Bongsu realized that there is only one person in the Danri clan that would come there. Immediately he thought of this. The countdown ended, and the person barged into the stable. The master turned out to be Daehyo. He brought his subordinate with him. Bongsu acted surprised to see Daehyo. The man walked up to him and placed his hand on his shoulder. He asked him if he is Sosum. Bongsu nodded his head at him. With a serious look on his face, Daehyo asked our boy if he killed Machio. Bongsu pretended like he was shocked to hear the question. He looked like he was genuinely confused. He pretended like he was trying to say no. Daehyo wasn't interested in this. He pushed his energy into Bongsu's body. His energy went down our boy's bones. Bongsu felt some slight pain, but Daehyo didn't let him go. He pushed his energy deeper into Bongsu's body. His energy went past Bongsu's bones and reached his core. When Daehyo looked into his core, he found a black orb inside. He moved his hand when he saw this. Bongsu uttered some nonsense to act as if he didn't understand what was happening. Daehyo seemed to be disappointed. He turned around and asked his subordinate to follow him. The man turned to our boy and told his squad leader that he understands. As they walked out of the stable, Bongsu carefully glared at them. He was heavily focused on them. He looked like a hunter that was looking at his next prey. When they got outside, Daehyo's subordinate asked him about why they are leaving without conducting a proper interrogation. He asked him if he wasn't suspecting Bongsu. Daehyo told him that he was. He explained to the man that this was why he infused true chi into Bongsu's body to examine him. If our boy had practiced even the tiniest bit of martial arts, there would have been traces. The man asked his squad leader about how Bongsu's body was. Daehyo revealed to him that it was empty. There wasn't even a handful of internal energy in our boy's body. Daehyo determined that our boy was an ordinary person who hasn't learned martial arts. He began to wonder if the people who died truly committed suicide. He wondered about how many more people will lose their lives before this plague ends. On a night when the moon shone brightly, contrary to Daehyo's worries, the suicide epidemic disappeared from Banyang. Instead, a new killing wind began to blow in the town. The scene shifts and we see a heavy rain falling in the town. We see some people drinking inside a tavern. A man chugged down his liquor and slammed his cup on the table. He cleaned his mouth and asked his friend if he has heard of a certain story. His friend asked him if he is talking about the nameless hero. He told him that he has heard about him. He said that everyone must have heard about it. The man corrected his friend by advising him to call the nameless hero Lord Nameless Hero. He raised his cup and said that Lord Nameless Hero is slaughtering the worthless, unorthodox factions. His friend advised him to lower his voice. The man arrogantly told him that anyone can listen. He said that among the mighty unorthodox factions, the White Tiger Unit and the Red Wolf Gate have already been exterminated. His friend reminded him that the Black Society is still there. He told the man that things won't end well if the Black Society guys hear this. The man thrust his fist forward and told his friend that the Black Society is next. He assured him that their mighty Lord Nameless Hero will soon crush the bastards. He told his friend that the Nameless Hero will crush them to pieces. The moment he said this, a man wearing a black robe stood up and walked towards the door. He wore a black hat and entered the rain. He walked past a homeless man. The homeless man quickly turned to him. It was as if he felt something off from the man. When a heavy lightning struck, we see the man appear at the entrance of the Black Society. At the gate, we see a guard sleeping. While he was enjoying his sleep, someone hit his head. The man quickly came to his senses. His comrade asked him if he is really sleeping at a time like this. The guard quickly apologized to him. The senior guard asked him to wake up and get a grip. He asked him if he doesn't know the chaos that the nameless righteous swordsman is causing right now. While he was talking, the man began to doze off again. The senior guard told the man that the nameless righteous swordsman has already wiped out 3 of the black units. He said that only their Black Society is left. As he spoke, the man noticed that he wasn't hearing any sounds. He frowned his face out of anger and turned to his junior. He asked him if he is dozing off again. Immediately he said this. The man's head got cut off. The senior guard froze in shock when he saw this. He quickly grabbed his sword. He realized that the nameless righteous swordsman has arrived. Unfortunately for him, Bongsu appeared behind him. Our boy cut off his head with a single swing. His head went down the stairs and landed next to his junior's head. Bongsu opened the gate and went into the compound. Immediately he walked forward. A large amount of arrows got fired at him. Bongsu quickly jumped back to dodge the arrows. He raised his head up to see where the arrows came from. He saw a large amount of warriors waiting for him inside the compound. They were all ready to take him on. A man stepped forward and drew his sword. He told Bongsu that he knew that he would come today. He called him a nameless rat. Our boy grabbed his sword and took a stance. He carefully looked at the men in front of him. Immediately lightning struck. The man ordered his subordinates to kill Bongsu. The men charged at our boy. They attacked him from all sides. When Bongsu saw them coming, he drew his sword. His sword released a terrifying red energy. Bongsu activated a skill known as Thousand Army Sweep. He swung his sword and tore everything around him apart. He even cut through the ring. All the warriors around him got torn apart. The other martial artists were shocked to see this. Bongsu charged at them and began to cut them down with a single strike. Every warrior that got close to him got torn apart. A man raised his spear and ordered the others to move. He charged at our boy and said that he will kill him by himself. Bongsu grabbed a man next to him when he saw the spearman coming towards him. He raised the man with a single hand and threw him at the spearman. He thrust his sword and stabbed the two of them together. The two men were shocked to see that they got stabbed. They slowly fell to their knees. Another warrior charged at Bongsu from behind. He called him a despicable bastard. He raised his spear and told him that he got him. Bongsu turned to the man when he sensed his presence. He tried to pull out his sword, but the first man he stabbed was holding on to it. The bald man smiled and asked Bongsu to just give up his neck. Before his spear could reach Bongsu, he activated his inventory and sent out a sword. The sword cut off the man's head. The man couldn't believe what was happening. He didn't know how our boy was able to use a knife from behind. Bongsu wasn't even fazed by the man's sneak attack. As he watched the man fall to the ground, someone moved close to him and stabbed him in the stomach with a sword. Bongsu quickly broke the sword and jumped back. The man threw away the broken sword and said that he has finally landed a hit. He told Bongsu that he thought he was a monster due to how he sliced up his boys. When blood gushed out of our boy's body, the man told him that he is human. He said that a human can be killed. His subordinates smiled when they heard this. Bongsu took out the broken blade and removed his hat. The leader was shocked to see what our boy did. He was more shocked to see that Bongsu was smiling. Our boy seemed to be very excited. He charged at the men with a face filled with happiness. In another part of the compound, we see a man hiding behind a huge rock. The rock was next to a destroyed wooden building. The man noticed that the screams coming from the gate area has significantly died down. He couldn't believe that all those men were getting killed by one man. He told himself that they just extorted people a little, did some human trafficking, sold some women and some booze, and killed some things that didn't even look human. The man didn't believe that they deserved to be killed. He told himself that there are so many other people who are much worse than him. However, those guys are strong, while they are easy targets. The man bit his finger and said that he must kill Bongsu there. He reminded himself that this secret path leads to the leader's estate. The place is known as the Paradise Manor. Immediately he thought of this. He heard someone scream out in pain. He put himself together and asked our boy to come at them. He turned to the wooden house and looked at the archers inside. The man reminded himself that they have the advantage in the dark. The moment he thought of this, he saw someone come out of the second gate. He quickly asked the archers to fire. The men fired a large amount of arrows at the man. The arrows pierced through the man and made him fall to the ground. The scared man wondered if our boy was dead. The whole thing seemed too easy. The moment he thought of this, one of the archers lost his head before the others could do anything. They also got beheaded in an instant. Their blood poured all over the place. It filled the wooden house. The scared man froze in shock when he saw this. He quickly drew his sword and asked his comrades if they are all dead. He noticed that a swordsman was inside the house. He asked the person if he is the nameless righteous swordsman. He asked our boy about what he wants. He asked him about what they did to deserve this. When Bongsu stepped out of the house, the man froze in shock. He was horrified to see the look in our boy's eyes. He told our boy that he is not the Grim Reaper. He asked him to tell him what gives him the right to kill them. Immediately he said this, Bongsu beheaded him with a single strike. When his head touched the ground, our boy told him that he only wants their lives. A heavy lightning struck again as our boy walked forward. He was going to meet his last target, the leader of the Black Society, Bang Poyam. The first group Bongsu took out was the White Tiger unit. Although he was able to level up thanks to the fact that he killed Django, Bongsu was still weak compared to the Black faction members. So he took them out by luring them, ambushing them, and he even engaged in arson. He used all sorts of methods to begin his hunt. By the time the leader of the White Tiger unit finally became alarmed, more than half of the White Tiger unit was already dead. As he took out the men, the officials and the townspeople gave Bongsu and his killing spree the epithet of the Nameless Righteous Swordsman. After our boy obtained this new mask as the Nameless Righteous Swordsman, it became much easier for him to dispose of the unorthodox faction. When Bongsu killed the White Tiger unit leader, he reached level 5, and he also gained his first active skills. The skills are Qinggong and the Three Forces Sword Art. Qinggong is a body lightning technique. The Three Forces Sword Art has different forms. The first form is the Thousand Army Sweep. It allows the user to release a strong horizontal slash. Bongsu was happy to see the skills. He realized that he will finally be able to face the Black faction members in a direct confrontation. Around the time children started playing games that mimicked the Nameless Righteous Swordsman, the Red Wolf Gate was erased from the world. The only unorthodox faction left was the Black Society. The scene shifts, and we are taken to the present. We see the leader of the Black Society patiently waiting for Bongsu inside his Paradise Manor. The old man didn't seem to be bothered about what happened to his subordinates. He simply waited inside his manor. When lightning struck in the sky, Bongsu appeared in front of him. Our boy calmly stared at the man. Poyam also carefully looked at him. He asked him if he is the Nameless Righteous Swordsman. Bongsu didn't give him an answer. Poyam asked him about why he is wrapped up so tightly if he is a swordsman of justice. Bongsu told the man that he isn't a swordsman of justice. Poyam asked him about why he hunts and kills the unorthodox faction if he isn't a swordsman of justice. With a crazy smile on his face, Bongsu told the man that he isn't a righteous swordsman. Poyam was shocked to see the smile on his face. He laughed out loud and told Bongsu that he deceived everyone. With a smile on his face, Bongsu told the man that he didn't deceive anyone. He said that people simply believed what they wanted to believe. Poyam grabbed his sword and told our boy that he is an interesting man. He drew his sword and told him that he doesn't think that he has any regrets even if he has to cross the river of the dead today. He smiled and released his energy. His energy took the shape of a snake. He asked Bongsu to come at him. He told him that it doesn't matter if he is the Nameless Righteous Swordsman since he is there to kill him. He asked Bongsu to show him what he can do. He swung his sword and released a large gust of wind. Bongsu drew his sword and took a stance when he saw this. He and Poyam pointed their blades at each other. The two men calmly watched each other. The moment a drop of water touched the ground, Bongsu and Poyam charged at each other. Their blades released a bright light. When they clashed, Bongsu pushed Poyam back with a sword strike. He swung his sword at the man again. Poyam blocked his attack. Unfortunately for Bongsu, his stab wound got reopened when he swung his sword. Poyam thrust his sword at his leg. Bongsu moved his leg aside and blocked the attack. Poyam quickly noticed an opening in his defense. He swung his sword at Bongsu. Our boy saw his sword coming at him. He noticed that Poyam's sword was too short. He was certain that the attack won't reach him. To his surprise, Poyam landed a cut on his arm. Our boy couldn't comprehend what was happening. He quickly moved his head back to dodge Poyam's attack. He jumped back to put some distance between himself and the man. He quickly looked at the cut Poyam landed on his arm. The old man laughed and told Bongsu that he knew that his body wouldn't be in perfect condition. He charged at Bongsu. He swung his sword at him when he got close to him. Our boy was able to block his attack. Poyam increased the speed of his attacks and slowly pushed Bongsu back. He landed another cut on him. Bongsu noticed that the man was only targeting his injuries. He realized that he was going to lose if this continues. He decided to sacrifice a little flesh to land a strike. Poyam managed to land a strike on his injury. He swung his sword again and asked Bongsu about what he is thinking about in the midst of this fight. Our boy blocked his sword strike and got ready to use the Three Forces Sword Art. Before he could do anything, Poyam told him that he got him. Immediately he said this. His sword broke apart and wrapped itself around Bongsu's arm. Our boy quickly realized that the man was using a whip sword. Before he could do anything, Poyam cut off his left arm. Our boy grit his teeth to endure the pain. Poyam didn't expect his sword to be so effective. He realized that this was Bongsu's first time facing a whip sword. The moment he thought of this, Bongsu smiled at him. Our boy jumped and gave the man a kick in the chest. He activated Qinggong and sent Poyam flying with a large amount of energy. The man crashed into his house. While Bongsu was breathing heavily, he saw something shocking. He saw a snake-like energy in the air. Poyam stood up and told him that he is quite peculiar. He didn't expect Bongsu to use his own body as bait. He told our boy that this is not the way of a martial artist. It is the way of an assassin or a hunter. Bongsu didn't say anything to him. The man smiled and asked him if he knows that in a life-or-death duel between martial artists, the one with more secrets hidden up his sleeves has the advantage. Poyam took off his robe and revealed an iron breastplate. He told Bongsu that he has plenty things hidden while he has none. He told him that this is his fatal flaw. Poyam released a large amount of energy and swung his whip sword. He told Bongsu that he doesn't seem to have any moves left. Our boy calmly faced the man. Poyam smiled and called him a nameless, murderous demon. He told him that it is time for him to die. He swung his whip sword at Bongsu when he said this. Bongsu raised his leg and hit it on the ground. He filled the place with dust. Poyam realized that Bongsu was trying to block his vision with dust. He told our boy that this won't happen. He allowed his whip sword enter the dust. He caught someone with his sword. He laughed and told Bongsu that he has finally got him. He quickly realized that something was wrong. He dragged the body out of the dust. The body turned out to be another person's own. Poyam quickly noticed that it was the body of one of his members. He realized that the body was a decoy. He looked around and wondered about where Bongsu was. Our boy moved to the air and activated the second form of the Three Forces sword art. The technique is known as core striking slash. Bongsu moved at a crazy speed and thrust his sword forward. He was trying to stab the man. To his surprise, Poyam blocked his attack with his hand. He allowed the sword to pierce through his hand. Bongsu realized that the man blocked the sword with his hand in that split second to save his heart. Poyam told him that it is not yet over. He moved his whip sword and dragged it back to himself. Bongsu tried to move his sword and jump back. Poyam held his sword and asked him about where he is going. He told him that he won't escape. The moment he heard this, Bongsu opened his inventory and dropped countless bodies on them. Poyam was shocked to see the bodies. He used his sword to cut through them out of anger. The ground was filled with different severed body parts. Poyam wondered about what was happening. He couldn't believe that corpses appeared out of thin air to block his attack. He wondered if Bongsu still had more things hidden under his sleeve. He raised his head up and looked around. He noticed that Bongsu wasn't there. He grit his teeth and began to swing his whip sword out of anger. He called Bongsu a rat and asked him about where he ran off to. He told him that he didn't think he would use corpses in a fight. He called him a lunatic. The moment he said this, our boy fired an arrow at him. Poyam was able to block it with his whip sword. He asked Bongsu to stop these dirty attacks. Immediately he said this, Bongsu fired another arrow at him from behind. The arrow landed a cut on his face. Poyam recognized this situation. He realized that he was a prey. He couldn't believe that someone like him was being treated like a prey. Immediately he thought of this. He saw someone coming at him. He quickly swung his whip sword at the person. He thought that the person was Bongsu. He used his sword to tear the person apart. He quickly noticed that the person was also a decoy. Poyam was annoyed to see this. He hated this game. Before he could do anything, Bongsu stabbed him from behind. His sword went through his chest and destroyed his breastplate. Bongsu took out his sword when he saw that he had crushed the man's heart. Poyam looked at the hole in his chest and called our boy a bastard. He told him that he has finally killed every black society member in Banyang. He fell to his knees and asked Bongsu about why he did it. Our boy asked him if he needs a reason. Poyam was shocked to hear this question. Bongsu explained to him that humans have always killed other humans, from when they looked like apes to this very day, even after building civilization. Bongsu asked the man if this doesn't apply in this situation. He reminded him that the strong always trample upon and steal from the weak. He moved his sword close to Poyam's neck and told him that he was simply the stronger one in this situation. The man couldn't believe what he was hearing. After Bongsu took Poyam's life, he leveled up and his body released a bright light. In the next scene, we see Bongsu walking out of the compound with his two arms. He carefully moved his sword and swung it to remove the bloodstain on it. Now that he had taken out every black society member in Banyang, our boy's preparations were now complete. It was now time for him to move to the next stage. Bongsu wanted to enter a place where the strong are stronger and the prey is harder to hunt. With a smile on his face, Bongsu said that he will be entering the Murim's Jianghu. The scene shifts, and we are taken to a different place. We see a bunch of men standing on both ends of a hall. There was a man sitting behind a blurry curtain in the hall. He looked like the master of these men. The man asked someone about how long they have before the Orthodox demonic war. A man went on his knees and said that they only have 2 years left. The master said that it is time for them to slowly begin the grand plan. He called out to the kneeling man whose name is Guangwun. The man quickly responded to him. The master raised a finger and ordered Guangwun to execute the first stratagem. Guangwun told his lord that he will follow his order. Guys, we have come to the end of our video. How do you guys feel about the story so far? If you are enjoying it, let me know in the comments section. Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button for more recaps. See you guys later.